Witchers, welcome back to the Witcher Lorecast. This is your host, Tom, or Robots. I'm here with Toasty, who's busy playing Genshin Impact on not his phone. But Toasty, it's time to do The Witcher. You want to do a show? You ready?
Well, apparently I'm playing Genshin Impact, so whatever, that's fun. I'll click on it right now. Dare me.
This is
like Logan back on old Cyberpunk days who played Cyberpunk.
That's true. That's true. That is true. We'd be playing Cyberpunk on the side while we did the show. Yeah. Okay. So he's not playing Genshin Impact, but Toasty's here with me, and our patrons are here. We've got Bennett, Tamaria, Crow of Velen, and Genesis are all back. Welcome, everybody. How's everybody doing? Yay! Welcome.
Good. Yay.
Hello. I feel like we're legally required to say Genesis of Toussaint at this point because we said the other ones. So.
Oh. Okay. Genesis of Toussaint. If I were to live somewhere, I would not choose Toussaint. I mean, it's beautiful and whatever, but it's way too bright out. It's too sunny for me.
Hey, you don't have to. At least you don't have to see corpses the entire time you walk down a road.
I was just about to talk about Velen's decorative trees.
Yeah, I'm sure it doesn't smell very good either.
Tom, you live in Florida.
That's why I wouldn't want to live there. It's too much like where I'm currently at.
Okay, you're just tired of it.
Oh yeah, no, I hate it. I hate how sunny it gets, especially during the summer. It's just too bright out. But anyway, today's episode is not about my complaints about the weather or the sun or whatever. It is about season 3 of The Witcher Netflix show is getting very close. We know it's coming out sometime this summer. As of recording this right now, they recently dropped a new poster with the 3 main characters on it, all kind of hugging together, to symbolize that, they're back together again, no hard feelings or whatever, I guess. And also, rumor has it that tomorrow, which might be in the past by the time you listen to this episode, they will be dropping potentially the first trailer for the new season, and maybe we'll get a release date because we don't actually have an official release date, just kind of a release window for the summer. So rumor has it might be coming sooner than we might expect. So with all of that said, and with the first 2 seasons behind us and Blood Origin behind us, we have some better episodes out there. We have some not as good episodes out there. And I wanted to get our thoughts, especially our patrons' thoughts, on what will make or break season 3 for them specifically. So I'm just going to put it out there at the beginning. We're going to start this off, and I'm going to say, how important is it that it sticks closely to the books? Because obviously that is the biggest thing that everybody's talking about. So what do you think about how close it needs to stick to the books for you to feel good about the next season? Who would like to go first? Ben?
Don't do the monolith crap.
Don't do the monolith. Okay, what does that mean specifically to you?
So, like season 2, like they started doing offshoot stuff. It's like, okay, this is fine. And then it got mixed in with the main storyline.
Like Geralt and what's his face exploring the monolith, and then the monster showing up.
Yeah, that, and like it being like there's one randomly in Kaer Morhen in the medallion tree out of nowhere, and like I'm one for being book accurate, and like you can go off like completely off script and do something. Just make sure it makes sense to the story, and what they did absolutely made 0 sense to the story.
Like if I'm understanding what you're saying if you are going to go off script, or at least off of the books, at least use that to bolster the book story rather than to create like a side thing that just doesn't need to exist on its own.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think
all the monolith stuff felt like
sense.
A giant side quest that somehow muddled into the main quest.
Yeah, so it didn't make the main story better. It just added more complexity to a thing that didn't need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. What do you guys? Jen, do you have thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was a huge fan of the Sookie Stackhouse novels well before the True Blood HBO series came out, and they did that too. Season 1 was almost scene for scene, word for word, just like the books, with some minor tweaks and things like that. And then at the end of the season, they decided to keep a character alive that should have died. and it changed a lot of the things moving forward. And then the story completely split. They kept character names, but not a whole lot about what actually happened in the books. And so I feel like that's kind of how it's happening with Witcher now. We have our main characters that are staying, and then they're just creating their own story for characters that we have loved now get to play in.
Right.
And as long as you can divorce yourself from those two ideas, like I'm not watching the Witcher book series played out in TV. I'm watching the Witcher TV series. I'm fine with it. Yeah.
Okay. Crow, what do you think?
Yeah, to kind of go off of like what she was saying, because me and my buddy talk about this all the time since we're huge DC fans and we talk about their TV shows and movies. Like whenever it comes to an adaptation, I feel like a lot of us would be a bit bored if it was just that scene for scene, shot for shot, seeing exactly what happened in the book. The big thing for an adaptation, I think you can keep major plot points and events from the source material, or at least have a healthy respect for the source material, that the writers allegedly don't have. But the big thing for it is keep the core characters the same. Like, yes, you can fall in love with the world, but you fall in love with characters more so. And so if you're going to adapt them into a new story, at least keep it the same characters. So we're seeing these characters that we already love and are invested in going through some somewhat new adventures.
Right. So don't have them making decisions that they wouldn't have made that breaks the character, or saying or doing things in ways that really stand out and make you go, wait a minute, Geralt would never do that or say that, or Ciri wouldn't do that. She knows better, even from the beginning, before she had a character arc or any of that kind of stuff. So that's what you're saying. So yeah. So that raises the question: which characters are not off limits? So with something like The Witcher, you could say there's the three main ones, right? Geralt, Ciri, and Yennefer, right? But are you okay with adjusting some of the other characters a little bit? What if Jaskier's a little bit different? Obviously, he goes by a different name, but what if Triss is a little bit different? What if you got even further from the main characters and you have somebody like the Emperor Emir? Like, what if he's significantly different?
The thing with that, though, if you read the books, all three, like Geralt, Ciri, and Yen, obviously don't really touch too much. You can change a little bit here and there. All the other characters, I mean, as long as they're like somewhat similar, there's not really like, you can do whatever with them, because a lot of them are typically hinged as background characters.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They're not really developed mainly in the main story, except for like Emir from like some points here and there with the whole Ciri thing. But
okay, so like Toasty and I talked about Dijkstra recently, right? And Dijkstra plays an important role in some very specific things, and then for the rest of the stories doesn't really show up. So would you guys be okay with the idea that somebody like Dijkstra would come across a little bit differently in this adaptation because they need to stretch the character out? They hired the actor. They need to like find more stuff for him to do, or they're filling in the background for things that he may have been involved with, but we don't actually get the point of view reference of it in the books or something like that. Is that okay?
So yeah, with that, because like whenever it comes to the main characters, like you were talking about, like tweaking them here and there, I think that's what's led us to where we're at now with the Netflix series. But whenever it comes to a character like Dijkstra, like you said, that like plays a little bit of a role, but then is gone for the majority of the series. Mm-hmm. As long as he's like, his character doesn't overshadow what most people would consider a more important character, but like they can still just flesh him out. I mean, as long as they got enough episodes, enough screen time, then I think the fans of Dijkstra would enjoy that more, as long as it still kind of stayed around the same information that like we already have about him,
or true to his personality.
I mean, they did did that with Yen. They added more background to Yen's story.
Exactly. That's kind of where I was going.
Her out, giving her more screen time, because yeah, she's in the books and she's in a good portion of the books, but there's like We only know of her. Oh, she's a powerful sorceress. She's a love interest to Geralt. She's tutoring Ciri. That's it.
She's kind of off on the periphery for a lot of it, and you just have kind of Geralt's reference of her, but not necessarily the individual's actions that she takes.
So, I mean, if they do that more with like other characters, I'm fine with. Just don't let them, like Crow said, don't have them overshadow the main protagonist that we have in the show.
I got you. So, okay. So that leads to the question about somebody like Yen, being that they have to make reasons for her to be on the screen more often because, and they've done so already in the first 2 seasons, because like we talked about, she's off on the periphery. We don't see a lot of what she's doing when she goes off in some other place or whatever. So where's the boundary for somebody like her, having events like Sam Crow in chat says Cahir and Yennefer never met in the books, and here in the show they got a love story going on, like WTF. Yeah, sure, that never happened in the books, but you can also see why they did something like that in order to kind of incorporate her more into the story and to reveal bits of her character and what she's like at this point in the story and all of that. So where's the boundary there? Was that too far? And what would have been better? Anybody have thoughts on this one? Everyone's just thinking like,
I don't mind adding a little bit of a love story between Yen and Cahir. It made sense at the time, and the fact that there's so much time, especially in that first season where, it's like we're establishing these characters, we're building them out, we're growing them out. So that way we do want to fall in love with the story and continue watching. Throwing in a quick little love interest is, it's expected.
Okay. So Jen thinks it's fine. Do you guys agree? Or do you disagree?
With that, I kind of like, especially speaking of Yennefer from season 2 specifically, like you said, finding new ways for her to be just more front and center and a story of her own. I think that's all right. With that one, you could kind of see it making somewhat sense for her character, like going on that little adventure with Cahir and having the kind of weird little love interest thing going on.
The whole, she can't use her magic abilities. She has to rescue Jaskier, like that whole thing.
So that compared to later in the season where she's trying to sacrifice Ciri to Baba Yaga, like
that felt too far.
Comparing those
to you, yeah.
The Cahir thing wasn't too bad. Going completely against her like more maternal role that she has for Ciri, like that kind of seemed a bit too far for me.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay, that makes sense. Ben, did you have thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm like honestly in agreement with Crow. Like having the Cahir like side thing, it's like okay, that's fine. Just to add something in there, to add like a little romance in the early in the season, and whatnot.
And it really wasn't a hard romance. It was more of a
it's like a little fling thing, something.
It was more of a they kind of thought each other were okay for a little while.
Even if it had gone to other like extents, in my opinion, it would have been fine because they do make it very clear that like Geralt and Yennefer kind of just like sleep with whoever the hell they want. Like in the thing, there's even like a whole Beltane like thing where they meet up during Beltane and Yennefer goes off and just like screws some random dude. Like they can like they both kind of do what they want in the bedroom. Like it's fine. If they'd gone more with that'd have been fine. But like core like ideals to the characters, or even creating plot lines that would even like get to that point, like the whole
Ciri, like that's a no.
Her losing her magic was not necessary at all, honestly. Like it's supposed to. I think the idea of it was supposed to like show her coming to terms with the fact that she doesn't want to make any sacrifice for herself, but it's like she comes to that term, like she comes to that on her own without losing her magic in the book, so it doesn't.
Yeah. Do you think it was like the superhero thing where like in certain superhero movies the superhero loses their power because they don't believe in themselves as strongly or whatever, and they have to like learn to be a hero without their powers? And like, do you think it was sort of that sort of thing? Or my other thought on that was, if she had her magic powers and she wanted to sacrifice Ciri, it would have happened right away. Like nobody could have stopped her. And the fact that it's like they came up with this, the main plot, I guess, is what this becomes, right, in season 2 of, oh, she's going to be manipulated and she's going to try to sacrifice Ciri, and then she's going to have to redeem herself later on for that, right? And, well, how can we make that work? She's a powerful sorceress. She could just teleport them somewhere and then just, boom, they're done, right? Like, so they had to come up with a reason to make that not easy for her. I don't know. Those are my thoughts on like why that evolved the way it did. I'm not justifying that it was a good decision. I'm just trying to think through the process of why they would have even implemented it. What do you?
So
I think it would have been better if they had stuck to the source material on that one.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Absolutely,
Ciri
absolutely.
At all.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like there's no.
I still think.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, kind of like what the point I made earlier about how if you're gonna do an adaptation, it's fine as long as you keep like certain core things the same, but as the most important thing is to keep the core characters the same. So even if they did want to do the whole story arc for the season where she burned out her magic and didn't have it for the season, it still showed her being a pretty capable badass, which I appreciated. Like I thought that was cool. Mm-hmm. Just the way that they ended it with the whole Ciri sacrifice. Like it's hard. It's going to be really hard for her to turn into the Yennefer from the books and the games, like, and be thrusted into that maternal role for Ciri, because everybody's going to be remembering back to, oh, she almost sacrificed her to a witch just to get her magic back.
Well, with a lot of storytelling, what they'll do is they'll swing the pendulum all from one side to the complete other. So they'll have the character seek redemption, and so therefore she will throw herself into the mother role even harder in order to redeem herself from the mistakes of her past, right? Like you see that a lot. Like every time, and this is just one of those things that they do in stories, in movies and TV shows today. Every time a character tries to get a character to do something else, the initial response from the other character is never, yeah, okay, cool, I'll do it. It's always, never in a million years, I'm never going to do that. It's never going to happen. Never, never, never. And then 2 scenes later, they're like, all right, fine, I'll do it. Right? Like it's things, that's just the way that stories work in media right now. And it feels like that's what they're kind of shooting for. Ben?
I will have to say this one thing. In hindsight to the decision making they had with Yen, you can't deny that it came with the best Geralt dad moment when he pointed his sword at her and defended Ciri as his daughter.
Yeah, it definitely set the boundaries there, right? And showed you his true feelings about the situation. So that's true. That's true. Okay, moving into season 3. Let's move into season 3. We've got season 1 and season 2 in the past. And they are what they are. We can't go back and change them for any of the parts that we lament and we go, oh, well, I wish this was better. We can't. They have to pick up from where they are and move forward now. First question is, do you think they can redeem themselves? Is there, as writers of this show, is there possible redemption? And if yes, what does that entail? Who would like to start first on this one?
So, I guess just my initial thoughts of it is, I mean, everybody would like to hope for some sort of redemption, but I mean, just from the backlash and stuff it's gotten, just the announcement for tomorrow, it's like, it seems like a lot of people have given up on it before it's even out.
Right.
Because but aside they know it's Henry Cavill's like last season.
Aside from what everyone else might think, what about for you? For you personally, is there a scenario where you go into watching season 3 and you turn on the first episode and you go, oh, that was a lot better than I expected. And then you get to the next episode and you go, oh, this is actually pretty good. And then you keep watching through it. And by the end of the season, you're like, wow, they fixed it. This is way better than I expected. They fixed it. Is that possible? And if so, how?
Maybe in a universe where Blood Origin didn't give us an idea of what they're looking at.
So, I believe that there might be some episodes that I enjoy watching, but I don't think that there's a way to just like a complete 180 and bring it back.
You don't think
where,
they can
like,
fix
they're
it?
gonna fix it?
There's no way there's nothing they can do in the long run to be able to make this show make you go, oh wow, that was amazing. Season 3 was great.
No.
Okay. Jen or Ben, what do you think? Ben's making faces. Jen, what do you think?
Ben probably has a lot of thoughts, but no way to articulate them.
Too many thoughts. Yeah.
I think I'm resigned to the fact that this is not going to be the TV show that I want to watch. But it is going to be a cool show that I will enjoy watching for the actors and the cinematography.
It's just
and
not the
way
same
that the show looks.
show. It's just not The Witcher anymore. It's just another show that happens to be masquerading under that title.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I mean, I'm okay with that. But I also, I would love to see the storylines that I've read. I would love to see things that I have played in the games. But I just don't think that they can get back to that point. And then knowing that season 4 is going to change things again somehow because of the change of the actor, I'm going to watch it and enjoy it as its own separate thing and is not part of my Witcher canon.
Got it. Okay. All right. So Ben, is there potential for redemption here, or they've gone too far?
No.
No. Okay. Not at all.
Just no. I mean, can they scrap up the storyline and get it closer to the books? Absolutely. Are they going to do that from what we can see? Probably not.
But you're saying there's a chance.
It's a chance.
There's a chance. It might be a very small chance, but you're saying there's a chance.
They truly listened to the fan feedback after season 2, because there was a lot of discussion after season 2 happened.
Yes.
If they remotely listen to that, possibly. But
Toasty's shaking his head
for
no.
the fact that we know Henry Cavill is leaving the project, we all know that's not what they did.
That is where the evidence seems to point.
Sure. I don't know. Like, I'll watch it, and I'm going to watch it more for the fact, yes, it's Witcher. I'm going to enjoy it because it's Henry Cavill as Geralt. The cinematography, the action, the coordination they do for the action scenes is phenomenal. You can't deny that. Story-wise, am I going to love it? That's going to be up in the air. I mean, honestly, after season 3, I'd rather go watch The Hexer.
Wow. Okay. The
damn.
Hexer. Nice.
And that's bad. And if no one knows what The Hexer is, it's the Polish version of The Witcher.
Yeah.
That they made in the 90s, which was absolute trash.
Right. All right. So I am by my own definition, I try to reserve making deciding things until I see all the evidence, right? I try to be very careful about this. I'm a skeptic very much through and through. So to follow up with what all of you said, there is an extremely high chance that you are absolutely right, that this is the reason why Henry Cavill left, that the evidence from Blood Origin shows that they're just going to keep going off script, that all of that stuff is absolutely true. There is a very small percentage chance, and I'm talking like a 0.1% chance, that maybe some of the other messaging is correct. It probably isn't, because it's probably all marketing garbage. But there is rumor out there that he was getting harder to work with, and some of these other things were going down. The other quote, I'm quoting, other side of the argument, right? And I'm not saying that we should give it the same weight or anything like that. I'm just saying that explanation is out there. And once we see season 3, we will have a very strong sense of which of those two things is actually true, right? So in my mind, that means that there's a very small chance that all of that other stuff could be true and all of the things we expect are not. But I also don't expect that to be the case. I don't expect it right now, but I also am not in the future where I've seen season 3 happen yet. So I can't tell you for sure. That's all I'm saying, right? So I think that's where I'm at. And if they were in a scenario where they were to all of a sudden, we got this magical season 3 where it's way more in line with the books and the characters and the character arcs. And yeah, they made some mistakes in season 2, but it works a lot more like season 1 did, and then just gets better from there. That would be amazing. I think like if that was the case, I would go, okay, season 2 was rough, but man, it got a lot better and we can move on from there. Am I expecting that to be the case? No, unfortunately, I'm not.
Maybe in a universe where we didn't already know that Henry Cavill left the show. Like, I don't.
Yeah, but maybe he was difficult to work with. Maybe he thought something was going to work out with Superman, and then just didn't. You know, like there is speculation as to other reasons why that was the case. But the evidence is mounting that is not actually the story. So I think you're right. I think that is not the story. But well, I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. So, Crow.
Real quick, I just want to correct Ben. It actually came out in 2002, not the 90s.
Oh, it was very close to the 90s.
Well, it was like 99.
Well, it was it's a Polish show. So in other parts of the world, other parts of the world are a few years behind the US.
There's two. There was a show in the movie.
I want to say oh wait, it might have been the movie. I'm trying to figure out where I can go watch it now, to be honest. That's what I've been doing.
No, good luck. You won't be able to really find it.
You can find screenshots of it all over the place. All right, tell you what, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to thank our patrons, and then we're going to be back. And I've got some details here about what we do know has been said about some of the characters that are coming back and some of that stuff. And I want to get your takes on some of this. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Very well. Let us get this over with. Something has infested my vineyard.
Great. Let me go prepare my something oil then.
All right, here we are in the middle of the show. This is where we get to thank our patrons. And no new patrons this week, but big thank you to all 12 of our current patrons. And a big shout out to our higher vampire tier patrons, Ben of Temeria, who's with us, and Jared M. Thank you for your support. And we really appreciate it. If you are interested in checking out all the different things you can get, ad-free episodes, t-shirts and stickers and all sorts of fun stuff, then go to patreon.com/WitcherLorecast. Check out everything over there. Also, we got a new review that came in on Apple Podcasts. This is from Anime 1984. What anime came out in 1984? I feel like that's a reference to one, like some sort of classic anime. But this person wrote on Apple Podcasts, Witcher lore, 5 stars, fun and funny. I love this podcast. I learned a lot. Thanks a lot. Well, you're very welcome, Anime. Thank you so much for leaving that review. See, Toasty, some people think I'm funny. If you would like to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it out on the future 5-star reviews. And if you listen on other platforms like Spotify, then you can rate the show on there. So 5-star reviews on there would be amazing and helpful as well. Plus, there's a feature on Spotify now where each of the new episodes say things like, what did you think about this episode? And you can post something positive that you enjoyed about that specific episode. All of that stuff helps. And we appreciate all of that because it helps make sure other people can find the show. So thank you to everybody for your support. Thank you to these patrons who are here with us and all of our other patrons. Let's get back to the rest of the episode.
You smell of death and destiny, heroics and heartbreak.
It's onion.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I'm reading chat. We've got Jessica Starr and Scarcrow and Sam Crow, and the consensus is, yeah.
A lot of crows here today.
A lot of crows. But season 2 wasn't great.
We're called a murder, actually.
A murder of crows. We have a murder of crows here, which makes sense for us talking about The Witcher. But yeah, the consensus seems to be that it's a long haul back, and they probably can't do it, but it would be amazing if they did. So, all right, here's some of what we know, and feel free to go ahead and unmute and just kind of chime in as we go. This is going to be very free form, and we're just going to talk about this. So this is from a Games Radar article about everything we know about season 3 so far. And so we have information about some of the characters that will definitely be returning. This includes characters like Vesemir, Lambert, and Cohen. We're going to have some Witchers returning aside from just Geralt. How do you feel about that?
I'm okay with that, more for the fact they don't get enough love in the books.
Okay. But are we going to see a situation where you end up with like them extending these characters in ways or killing them when they're not supposed to die yet. Like poor what was it?
Only
which one? Which is the one that died?
It's Cohen. Or are you talking about Eskel?
Eskel. Yeah, Eskel they killed off, right?
They killed off Eskel in season 2, and then a named one there that we just kind of spouted out does die later in the books.
Yeah.
God knows what happens with him if they do that too early.
So I think kind of like we were hitting on earlier with like Ben was saying, they don't get enough love in books. And so with things like that, whenever we bring back characters like that the original fans would love to see expanded upon and just see a bit more screen time, I don't think that's too bad. And so I'm here for it. As long as they don't, like you said, don't like really mess up the characters or just like brutalize them.
Right.
Kind of like how, what was it, Vesemir was so willing. It just seemed like everybody wanted to sacrifice Ciri last season.
Yeah, a lot of them they did not stay true to their characters as far as we understood them. Like originally, they were everything was changed a little bit.
I will say something that an interesting thought that I've actually been meaning to bring up on the podcast for a while since we got season 2. I think Vesemir's at least kind of makes more sense in the world that, or like in the backstory that he gave or got from Nightmare of the Wolf. Because remember Dugan or whatever his master witcher was, it seems like this Vesemir is definitely one that was raised by a guy like that and could somewhat want to sacrifice everything for the witchers.
Gotcha. Yeah, it plays into the whole their version of everything and the background that they set for it rather than what we get from the books. All right, so we have some others, and there's a little bit of speculation on these. So other series regulars like Jaskier, Fringilla, and Cahir will likely have a part to play. We know they're still part of the cast. Any thoughts on those?
Definitely. Like, you can't have the show without him.
I mean,
I'm sorry.
Like, Jaskier's so important to the show that they put him in Blood Origin. So, like, it's...
Yeah.
You gotta have Jaskier. They literally ended with Fringilla, so of course we're gonna see more of her. Cahir, the same. So,
and aren't we getting the God, what's the arc that I'm thinking of? And because is it Time of Content we're doing?
I believe that. I believe that's we're headed into that. Yeah.
Or is it Baptism of Fire?
We haven't even really finished Blood of Elves fully, so like I don't know what.
Because I know they're doing the whole island scene.
Scene. Yeah, Time of Content seems to be where things are going, and from reading some other things, that seems to be what this season is mostly going to be based on.
Yeah.
So there's that. All right, so here's some other ones. We have Francesca, Filavandrel, Triss, Tissaia, Dara, Istrid, Vilgefortz, and Stregobor.
Kill the last two.
Kill the last two? Is that what you just said?
We don't need the last two.
Kill the last three.
Do you think we'll see some big situations with them? I have my gut says we're going to see some of these characters.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Stregobor, I don't even probably
they made him
one thing.
So much bigger than he ever was, and I just
he was completely pointless in the book.
He's so much worse too.
Wasn't he only in 2 books, if that?
I think he was in one.
Just one.
I think it was in the first book.
Just the Witcher, Last Wish.
I think so. I don't remember him anywhere else. And if it was like they mentioned him, and that was it.
Yeah. So this goes on and says, there are also a handful of characters introduced in the second season that are in line for a comeback. They include Dijkstra, Philippa, and Lydia. Do you think we're going to see a lot of them?
Who's Lydia again?
She was the one that helped Vilgefortz, I want to say. The one that got her face all burned off from sniffing.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I can say, who the heck is that? I don't remember the character name.
So, actually, there's 2 things that I wanted to say about the second list that we were just talking about.
The one with all the mages in it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for one, I think it'd be kind of cool. I don't know how people would react because of the light that it puts Yennefer in, but I think it'd be kind of cool to finally see a Shard of Ice between Geralt and Istrid. Especially kind of contradicting their like somewhat introduction that they had to each other in season 2. I will say one of them that I'm not necessarily mad about, but like I don't necessarily see the point of his return is Dara. I think Dara was a good character for season 1 to like be somewhat of a companion to Ciri and like help her out a bit and give us a bit of like give us a face to help us kind of sympathize with the elves.
Yeah,
I just hearing about
feel like
things that are happening to them.
Yeah, it's a jump on top of what you're saying real quick. I feel like that was his role, was to give us insight into the elven perspective, not from just the high ups, but from like the common elves and some of the getting stuck in the middle that was happening there.
So with like, yeah, and I don't know, I think that was a good role for him in season 1. Season 2, just him kind of being Dijkstra's spy, I guess kind of helps introduce Dijkstra as the spy master.
Yeah, it gives us a
familiar face,
a path to him. Yeah,
but I don't see a real reason to bring him back, especially since in season 2 he kind of ended seeming like he didn't want to be a spy for Dijkstra anymore. Right.
Yeah, he has kind of a change in his perspective on things. So this is interesting. I found this is really interesting. This is the official plot summary. So let me know what you think about the official plot summary from Netflix. This is how it reads. As monarchs, mages, and beasts of the continent compete to capture her, Geralt takes Ciri of Cintra into hiding, determined to protect his newly reunited family against those who would threaten to destroy it. Entrusted with Ciri's magical training, Yennefer leads them to the protected fortress of Aretuza, where she hopes to discover more about the girl's untapped powers. Instead, they discover they've landed in a battlefield of political corruption, dark magic, and treachery. They must fight back, put everything on the line, or risk losing each other forever. Of course, this is written like one of those, like, this is the biggest, most important thing ever kind of things. But what do you think, Ben?
What beasts? Like, that's the thing that stuck out. I was like, beasts?
Because Witchers hunt monsters, like, so they're going to have to.
But they're not like, I guess they're
right.
The monolith ones are after her. But
I mean, you have the Wild Hunt.
Remember, Ben? Does you remember the Beast?
There's the Beast from the Blood Origin.
About to say that.
Yeah, but the Wild Hunt, I think they're still under the impression that people think the Wild Hunt is all monsters. I think that might be part of this.
But they're not.
Yeah, but the average viewer doesn't necessarily know that.
That's fair. And probably, in the show, if they are doing the 7-season plot, no one wouldn't actually know what they are until like season 5.
Yeah, it'll take a while. But okay, so other than the beasts thing, what did you think about this? Going to Aretuza, discovering more for untapped powers.
So I'm hoping that it ends with them at Aretuza and like kind of the was it the coup at the Thanadiles? Was that what it was?
It's the coup, yeah.
So kind of leading to like ending at that. Hopefully, because just the way that it made it sound, it seemed like kind of how like in season 2 they had the one short story for episode 1, and then the rest of it they were mostly at Kaer Morhen, and so I feel like it would slow it down so much. I understand The Witcher is like very like the story of The Witcher is very political and everything, but if they have like the one single story for the first episode and then second episode they're in Aretuza and it's all like political treachery and stuff and just seeing Geralt rumble around corridors
grumbling like stupid mages and kings. That would be amazing if that's all he did for the entire season.
I theorize we will only get that for like maybe an episode or two, and that's it.
Yeah. So usually when it comes to the things that these companies will release coming up to a season, if they name people or plots, those things are within the first episode or 2. And then because they don't want to spoil the lead, like where things are going. So maybe it'll happen like Crow's doing, but if trends tell you anything, Aretuza will show up in the first or second episode.
The thing is, I looked at the cast list and they have characters that are like, oh, that's way after the coup.
So
Yeah,
maybe
well,
this will move faster than we
Which-
expect.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming.
I mean, they might be shooting for like a 5-season total arc rather than something like 7. So if that's the case, they're going to have
They
to.
probably like started to like. I don't know if it would have been during the writing of this particular season. I would imagine coming more for cutting down stuff for next season after like, Henry Cavill leaving is probably would have been probably the expectation of like the replacement, the recasting, and people's reaction to that. I would imagine like, all right, well, like start cutting it down. This shit's not gonna last 7 seasons. That's for damn sure. So like, but yeah, Ben's probably right. They're probably gonna do some crazy like BS or whatever and like skip so much stuff. Which whatever. I mean, there would be merit in ending on the coup of Thaned because like, and we're gonna get into spoilers. So if you don't want like legit spoilers, because I'm gonna say some shit.
It is a lore cast, so I think people are kind of used to this. We spoil
spoiler
things.
alert here. If you want to, shut things off. We know, like during that coup, fucking Geralt gets his ass handed to him by Vilgefortz, right? And we know they're recasting, and I don't think they're just going to do a simple thing because they don't understand how to just do simple things in this like writing team.
Are you saying that his face is going to get messed up, and that's why he looks different?
I was going to say that they're going to do some weird time bullshit, and like Vilgefortz will just kill Geralt in that fight, and then somehow we get a different Geralt,
like a younger Geralt. Oh,
or something.
Do what they did. Kind of like do the thing at the end of the books where we know Yen and Ciri, or not Yen and Geralt quote unquote die, and then the games pick up right off the books and say, oh, he's some magically alive somehow.
Somehow he's still alive. Strange, but he doesn't remember most of
Do like
anything.
a fourth wall break for a little bit.
See,
oh, you look a little different. Well, it happens, and then like go off and do whatever they're going to do in season 4.
Right.
So that would be the smart way to handle a recast or whatever.
I will laugh if it's a pitchfork.
That would be
Could be.
hilarious,
Could
but
be.
I don't think it's gonna. Well, who knows? But like, I don't know that Geralt's gonna get like the dumbest reason for the recast. Like, let's be entirely honest here, it's gonna be the dumbest.
Oh yeah.
So
I just want it to be like slapstick stupid, where he's like riding away from his horse, just all beaten and bloody, and Vilgefortz is like, "Not yet, you son of a bitch!" and just flings a spell, hits him in the back of the head.
Let me just
All of a sudden, face changes. He looks in the water and it's like, I'm so ugly now.
oh my god.
Oh man.
Oh no, I look 10 years younger.
Oh,
What
no.
the heck?
All right, so that's some wacky stuff. So okay, this section of the article I found particularly interesting. So what do you think about this? Hisrich, the showrunner, has also revealed on Twitter that the upcoming season will adapt Sapkowski's Time of Content, like we've been talking about. The first season adapted aspects of The Last Wish, while the second season focused on A Grain of Truth and the majority of A Blood of Elves. We're not going into heavy book spoilers here, but in short, expect one of Geralt's most brutal fight scenes, an odyssey for Ciri, and the introduction of the criminal coup, the Rats, or criminal group, the Rats. This is what we've been speculating. Some of this stuff has come up in our conversation so far. That seems to be where they're going. Does that sound right?
Yep, because they actually cast majority of the Rats. They actually did a casting for them already. And yep, that's happening.
Okay. So, any other thoughts on
Toasty
that?
had thoughts.
Toasty, you got
Sorry,
thoughts?
there's also, so like obviously we're talking about like staying more true to the source material. There's that part I would not mind changing drastically, because there's some really gross stuff with the Rats that I absolutely hate, and I hope that they change that. Because if they change everything and then keep that more true, like
at that point,
I'm gonna lose my fucking mind.
Oh my lord! Yeah, I was just about to say them introducing the rats is going to be very problematic, depending on how they keep it. Like, because reading the parts of the rats, like just every time that they popped up, it was some type of
it was cringy.
Chill.
And it's like.
So
Jen came unmuted. Jen has thoughts.
Jen, you have thoughts?
I do have thoughts, and I'm wondering if they're not going to change a whole lot because they also aged Siri up a little bit.
They did.
That's true. That is very true.
They did.
So
I never thought of that part.
It's still super cringe, but
It's
not.
not as super cringe.
It's still pretty super cringe. It's still like
It is.
because
It is, yeah.
It's not like the fact that she's a child makes it entirely worse, but it's still not a consensual relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. What she's in this show, she's what? Like they made her what? Like 16, 17?
Yeah, she's older teens. Yeah.
In the book, she's like what? 12?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully we don't get the worst version of that. Maybe hopefully they like get close and then they, like they imply what might happen and then they don't go there. Like one of those kinds of things. Like these people are terrible. They do these kinds of things, and everyone goes, "Oh God,
they're gonna do it."
They go, "Oh God, there's the threat of this thing happening," and then it just doesn't quite happen. Like something like that. But here's another part I want to get your take on. It sounds like the upcoming episodes will be very close to the source material. This is according to GamesRadar.com. So if you have any questions or thoughts on this, write them, not us. Quote. What is so interesting is that season 3 to me, and this is the showrunner again, is the closest thing that we've done as a one-to-one adaptation of the books, Hisrich told Entertainment Weekly. Obviously, we can't do every page, but Time of Content gave us so many big action events, plot points, defining character moments, huge reveals of a big bad. There's so much to do that we were able to stick really, really closely with the books. This is verbatim her saying, basically, I know we didn't stick very closely to the books in season 2. I know people have a problem with it, but give us another chance, everybody. This one's really close to the books.
I'll see it when I believe it.
Yeah, do you believe this?
No, not in a heart, not even in a... No.
I feel like that's just another bait and switch. She's saying that to try, because she knows she's losing so many fans whenever she
quite
loses
honest,
Henry Cavill.
Who trusts Entertainment Weekly anymore?
Well, I mean, this is her saying it to Entertainment Weekly, so they just published the quote.
My thoughts here are that she believes that remaining close to the source material is having the main plot points part of it.
That's it, nothing else.
Like going there, like to Artusa, having Vilgefortz be bad guy.
Right. Right.
That's remaining close to the source material. That's what I feel like she thinks.
It would be like putting together an outline for a novel and going, these are all the physical locations that this set of heroes have to go. These are all the battles that have to happen. Boop, 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 boop. Put them in the outline and then filling in everything else in between with whatever you want, as long as you can get from one plot point to the next. That's the picture you gave me, Toasty. Oh God, that could be true.
I feel like there was too many points in your example. I feel like you put do. I think it's do.
It's like start Geralt of Rivia, and
it's three bullet points. That's it.
Like, that's what it is.
And Vilgefortz. Anything else in the middle? It's cool. We followed the plot. Oh boy. Oh well.
I feel like they've gone so far off with the story anyway in like season 2, like not horribly far off, but like just far off enough that if they came back and just stuck straight to the source material for season 3, it would be such like a neck breaking kind of like shock sort of thing that it wouldn't make sense with the rest of the story that they already did, like have set up.
Here's a fun thing. It's just like the sequel trilogy of Star Wars. You can watch 7 and 9 and completely skip 8 and still be caught up. I swear, if they do that with this, watch all of season 1. Okay, that's cool. Then watch season 3. It makes perfect sense. And like,
yeah, no, I just, like, because that's also a point. I agree with Ben. The monoliths are stupid as hell. But also, if they just decide to just completely write out the monoliths, then it's like, what
was
why
the point?
was this in your story in the first place?
Right. And we've seen with Blood Origin that the monoliths are even more important than we already knew.
And they doubled down on it.
Yeah.
So like,
this is their contrived thing, and they seem to be wanting to stick to it. And so they're just going to keep on, shoving monoliths in between all of these bullet points. It's just like another monolith and then more monolith stuff. It seems to be the case. Jen, any thoughts on this stuff before we wrap it up? Shaking of a head.
Yeah, I agree that if they try to make that breakneck turn of going directly back to the storyline, it's going to kind of invalidate what they have decided to do with the characters in season 2. But it is what we've asked for the whole time. And if the people running the show are going, okay, hey, we listened to you. We brought you back to the storyline. We brought you back to the source material like you asked. And here you guys are bitching that it's not going to be good because they've already changed too many things in season 2. It's like, how are they supposed to win?
It's a catch-22 for sure.
They're not. Yeah. That's the point.
Yeah, that's the thing. They just don't.
I would be totally fine with them just never mentioning monoliths again in this whole season and just not even bringing it up, because this happens in shows where a plot point, a plot point will be seeded, and then all of a sudden the show just never comes back around to that point. It just disappears. And that's not the best writing in the world, but it's better than continuing bad writing. So I would be okay with that.
What I really want from season 3, right? What I really want is that when we eventually talk about it and do like recap stuff on this show, I want to be excited to do one of those recaps.
Mm-hmm. And what would that mean? It
wasn't for any of the season 2 ones.
Right. What would that mean? Would that mean like, oh man, they really did this scene really well, and the motivation for that character in the scene was just like it was in the books. It was amazing. Like that?
Literally anything, honestly.
Literally
like I don't
anything.
Like every single one, because they're so long as well. Like they're hour-plus long episodes.
Right.
So I'm not even gonna doing those felt like such a slog. Like it felt like it was like, okay, I have to do this thing. I just want to be like, get to it and be like, oh man, this is going to be so fun to talk about. And just what
if we have so much to say? What if we extended one episode to 2 episodes? 1 episode of the show, 2 episodes of our show, because there's so much to dig into because it's so good and meaty. Yeah, that would be amazing. Instead of like, can we cram 2 or 3 of their episodes into one of ours, because nobody's going to sit here and go through all the details because they're really just kind of Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be very nice. Well, to wrap this up, I mean, I think we're all very, very skeptical about where this might go. We've got hopes, but we're not going to hold our breath. That's kind of the sense I get. And we're just going to have to see. So hopefully we get to find out sooner than later, and I guess we'll know very soon. But here, let's wrap this up. Let's go through everybody, and feel free to share something about what you've got going on, things you want to share, or whatever. And thanks for being here. We'll start with Ben. Ben, I know you got stuff.
Yes, I do have stuff. If no one noticed, I kept throwing out Star Wars references. I am one of the hosts.
You don't have any Star Wars, do you?
What? No, it's not like I have a bunch of Star Wars merch around my room next to Witcher stuff. I am one of the hosts of Holocron History, Star Wars Canon versus Legends, where we take a deep dive into the Star Wars lore, go over the differences between Legends and Canon. And then I also host the show Wizarding World Lorecast, to where we take a deep dive in all things in Wizarding World and Harry Potter. sadly, that one's been on hold because my new work schedule with my new job is so hectic and it's all over the place.
Yeah, but you're getting back to it, right?
Yeah, we're going to start hopefully getting back to Wizarding World hopefully next week.
Nice. Awesome. We'll keep up the good work with those. And those are all on the Robots Radio Network. So if you're looking for links, go to robotsradio.net or just look it up on whatever podcast you're listening to this on. Crow, you got anything new? Any new airplane flying stories? Anything going on with
that? Nothing terribly crazy. I got my multi-engine add-on for my commercial license, so I can fly faster planes.
Congrats.
And
that's cool.
Now I'm on the thank you. Yeah, now I'm just trying to get my teaching certification so I can teach other people to fly planes.
Cool. Well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Well, thanks.
Other than that, I am Crow Velen on the Discord.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for joining us. And Jen, you got stuff?
I do. I also have 2 shows on the network. 2 Girls, One Ship, reanalyze, rate, and review video game romances. We had fun doing our patron chat the other night early this month where we played FMK Cyberpunk 2077. And Toasty joined me on that one. It was a lot of fun. And Toasty joins me also every week on the Cyberpunk Lorecast, talking about the foundations of the past, the state of Night City today, and the news of the future for all things Cyberpunk. Danger Gal is the next upcoming release for the Cyberpunk Red. It's a whole character dossier.
Ooh.
It's really cool.
Ooh, wake up, Samurai. Awesome. Well, that sounds awesome. Yeah, you can find her stuff at robotsradio.net as well. And Toasty, you got anything else you want to share?
Well, and like Jen already said, Cyberpunk Lorecast, of course. And then I also do the Cyberpunk Red live play podcast, Cyberpunked, Cyberpunk 'D with the Fun Link 4 and Almighty Crit Gang.
Awesome. Cool stuff. Well, thanks for joining me, everybody. And this has been a very, very interesting perspective on all of this. And I guess we're just going to have to see how things shake out. If you're interested in the stuff I do, everything that I do, all my other shows, robotsradio.net for that stuff. And thanks for being here. We'll be back next week with another one of our regular episodes, just me and Toasty. And until then,
stay safe on the path.
See you next time. Thanks for tuning in to the Witcher Lorecast. We'd love to hear about your experiences with the games and the books and the TV series and all your thoughts on everything. Please check out the Robots Radio Discord and follow us on Twitter at Witcher Lorecast.
You've been listening to a Robots Radio podcast. Smart shows for interesting people. Check out all the shows at robotsradio.net.